The news is official. It's shocking. Le'Veon Bell is no longer a member of the New York Jets. He has been officially released. And of course, the Jets have a statement from Joe Douglas after having conversations with Le'Veon and his agent and exploring potential trade options over the past couple of days. We have made the decision to release Le'Veon. The Jets organization appreciates Le'Veon's efforts during his time here, and we know he worked hard to make significant contributions to this team. We believe this decision is in the best interest of both parties and wish him future success. The Jets might as well fire Adam Gase before the next game. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous how we talk about him being an offensive coach and he can't take a valuable player and make him work. And once again, like in Miami, this was the biggest fear for Jet fans with Adam Gase taking this job was alienating stars, and he alienated the two biggest stars. But this has even bigger impact going forward. But my thoughts to this was, you knew the Jets were going to move on from him because of how toxic it was starting to get with Le'Veon. And this was a strained relationship from day one because guys want to feel like they're loved. And I know Le'Veon came to New York for the big contract, but when it shortly came out afterward that Adam Gase didn't want him, you knew it wasn't going to work. You just knew it wasn't going to work. You knew it wasn't going to work when you saw the incident last year where he missed a game because he was sick, but then was out bowling with his friends. You just knew it wasn't going to last. And my thought when I heard this was, look, if they're going to get rid of Le'Veon Bell, just get rid of Adam Gase at this point. It's just, to me, this signals that they're officially punting on the season. I know that's a shocker. I mean, we all pretty much knew that. But you cannot sit there and tell me that you couldn't work the phones, and maybe there were no offers for Le'Veon Bell. Maybe there weren't. Maybe the Jets would have to throw in a pick. But you're just letting him walk, and you're getting absolutely no compensation. And on top of that, you're going to take the cap hit for him this year. We knew he was going to be gone at the end of the season. So is it that big of a loss moving forward? You knew he wasn't the long-term plans for this team. So on that note, it's not a big loss. But the Jets just sent a clear message to me that they've given up on Sam Darnold. And I feel bad for Sam Darnold, because he's going to have to go somewhere else to restart his career and basically have to just get rebooted somewhere else. Because you cannot tell me that as an organization, it's in your best interest when you're trying to figure out if you have a franchise quarterback to get rid of the best offensive weapon he has. One of the arguments I keep hearing for the Jets keeping Adam Gase is because they didn't want to hurt the development of Sam. They wanted to keep some continuity. But at this point, just get rid of Gase, because you just got rid of one of your best offensive players. You got rid of a guy who could have helped him in the passing game, but Gase refuses to use him as a wide receiver for God knows what reason. You know Le'Veon Bell is going to likely sign with a contender for a league minimum. He will probably do well. I don't think Le'Veon Bell is going to be the Le'Veon Bell we saw in Pittsburgh before. You can see that he doesn't have that burst anymore, but can he still be a valuable player? He might not be a great running back anymore, but is he a good offensive weapon who you can move around as a receiver, using him in the slot, catching the ball out of the backfield? He's still an incredibly valuable offensive player to an offense. It's just the Jets didn't know how to use him because Adam Gase doesn't know how to use anyone. And look, if you're a Jet fan, you know it's bad when there isn't really even anger toward Le'Veon Bell. I was seeing the reaction on Twitter. A lot of the fans are saying, hey, you know what? You did everything you could here. Best of luck. Because they know it's messed up right now. But to me, the biggest implication of this move is you always have to read in between the lines. If the Jets were still trying to evaluate Sam Darnold and still trying to figure out if Sam Darnold was going to be their franchise quarterback, they would have done everything to try to help him. They would have tried to make this work with Le'Veon Bell. But I think that they as an organization have made the decision that they're all in for this tanking. Joe Douglas has decided, look, we're not going to win more than 1, maybe 2 games. We're probably going to have the number 1 pick. If we have the number 1 pick, we're going to take Trevor Lawrence and move on from Darnold anyways. And maybe they have a higher grade than we think on the other 2 quarterbacks in this draft. Maybe they have a higher grade on them than Sam Darnold. But it is completely clear that the Jets, and we thought that they were still using this year to evaluate Sam Darnold, but this to me signals they have already made a decision. Whether it's they've watched enough tape on him and they don't feel he's the guy, whether they feel now with this injury they're not going to get enough, be able to see how good Sam Darnold is, whether it's because of the lack of weapons around him because of the previous regimes and Joe Douglas is literally starting from scratch. And I can't really get on Joe Douglas because this mess was created by Mike Maccagnan by bringing in Le'Veon Bell when Adam Gase didn't want Le'Veon Bell, which led to Maccagnan eventually getting fired after the draft. I mean, this has been a long time coming, and Joe Douglas is probably just figuring Le'Veon Bell's going to blow up in this locker room. It's just going to make the locker room even worse over the next coming weeks. He knows it's going to be a very difficult season. He's probably trying to use this opportunity to see what they have in their rookie running back, seeing what they can, if they have a good piece there, try to evaluate him. And right now, they've made the decision, we're tanking this season. It's all about evaluating the young talent. I think they also are signaling, too, if you're a team and you see a veteran player on the Jets that you would want for a draft pick, they're open for business. I wouldn't trade Jamison Crowder. I think he would be a great building piece for whoever is coming in at quarterback. But if you were looking to give a decent pick for an Avery Williamson, who I, once again, would not trade, but I just think that now the Jets are saying, okay, that's it. We've punted on this season. But more importantly, I think they're showing that they're moving on from Sam Darnold. Because if they wanted to find out if Sam could be this team's quarterback, and I still think he can be with the right talent around him, but the problem is he's not going to get the opportunity to show it. He doesn't have the players around him to elevate him. And more importantly, this team, they're getting the number 1 pick. They're getting the number 1 pick. You cannot tell me after watching, even as bad as the Falcons and Giants have been, at least they play competitive football. This has not been competitive football. And look, Le'Veon Bell, it's been rocky this offseason with the whole incident in training camp with his hamstrings and wanting to get more touches and Gase not giving him touches and then getting put back in the game with an injury back in Buffalo. And you just knew this marriage wasn't going to last. You knew it was a foregone conclusion. So is there any good thing about this? I guess it makes the locker room slightly better, but it's not helping Sam Darnold. It's not helping this offense. And at this point, I know the Jets, their plan is probably to give Gase to the bye. But at this point, and if you're Christopher Johnson, if you really like Adam Gase for whatever reason, if you respect him for whatever reason, and I can't think what it would be, just put this guy out of his misery. He knows he's not going to be the head coach of this team next year. Give him an opportunity. Give him a head start to figure out if maybe he could be an offensive coordinator in college or in high school. I mean, I don't know when high school would freaking hire Adam Gase after this debacle. But you got to give him some time. And basically, I think the Jets have just accepted their fate. They're going to go 1-15 or 0-16. They're going to get the number 1 pick. And the plan looks to be they're just going to go completely reboot with Trevor Lawrence and a new head coach, because you cannot tell me that they are trying to get a fair evaluation of Sam Darnold at this point. I think that they have realized that they're not going to either get the data for the decision, or they've just already come to the decision that they don't feel he's going to be the franchise quarterback for this team. And, it's ironic because Le'Veon Bell's tweeted, prayers, he's obviously wanting to be out of here. And it's ironic because, he was calling out Jamal Adams just a few months ago for doing this to get out. And it worked, but at least the Jets got something for Jamal. mean, they're not going to get anything except the major cap hit, although they're not going to be signing free agents at this point. I mean, it's frustrating, and I can understand why Jet fans are livid about this. Because, personally, if you had to ask me, I think Le'Veon Bell's more important for Sam Darnold's development at this point than Adam Gase, because what has Adam Gase shown you other than alienating this locker room? Because I'll tell you this, Jet fans might not like Todd Bowles. We might look back on Rex Ryan's end and not like it. But I'll tell you this, those guys play for their head coach. They knew that their coach was on the hot seat, and they played their arses off. You see Adam Gase, he's probably on the hot seat in the NFL. Does it look like the Jets care if he gets fired? Does it really look like they are caring that their head coach could get fired? It looks like they'd be happy at this point. It's just a complete mess. Personally, I think Le'Veon Bell could have helped Sam as a receiver especially. But the decision has been made. It was a decision that was likely going to come this offseason. The Jets got a head start. You look back on this deal, and it was a lot for a running back, but this is the lesson from the Le'Veon Bell deal that the Jets have to take, and I think they're going to. The general manager, Joe Douglas, is going to hire this next head coach because they both have to be on the same page. This whole mess was started because Mike Maccagnan and Adam Gase, despite Maccagnan, having a word in hiring Gase, said, you know what? I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and you're going to coach the team. We're not going to work together. And basically made two high-profile investments in C.J. Mosley, who Adam Gase really wanted, but has only played one game, and Le'Veon Bell, who Gase was, okay, I like him, but I don't like him for that much money. And in retrospect, is it a lot of money for a running back? Absolutely. But the Jets needed to give Sam Darnold a weapon, and Sam Darnold was on his rookie deal. This is what you do. This is what good teams do. But the Jets were not on the same page with their general manager and head coach, and it became pretty clear that this marriage was destined to fail. You knew it wasn't going to last in New York. If we're hoping it lasts 2 years, it didn't. And I get why Joe Douglas did this move, because it was going to get worse in that locker room before it got better. But to me, the biggest takeaway from this is, Adam Gase is toast. At this point, just get rid of him. There's no benefit to keeping him at this point, because the one holding argument was you're keeping him here to try to maybe salvage Sam just so he doesn't have turnover, but you just gave away Sam's best weapon. You have just made it clear to the NFL world that you are completely giving up on the season. You are tanking the rest of the season. You're going to look to see what young players you're going to look to build this around moving forward. You're going to go after the number one pick. You're hopefully going to get the number one pick. I don't see how they're not going to get the number one pick. Draft Trevor Lawrence, build around him, using the draft capital from the Jamal Adams deal, and go to work. Because you cannot tell me that this team believes in their quarterback when they're getting rid of arguably his best weapon. And unfortunately for Sam Darnold, I feel bad for this kid. I really think he's got the talent to be the franchise quarterback, but it's clear that this organization has made the decision to go in a different direction. They're hoping he comes back, plays well, so it increases his trade value. And really, if I'm Sam Darnold and I come back this year, first of all, I'm not coming back till I'm completely healthy. But second, I'm coming back to basically audition for teams to say, hey, I have the talent. It hasn't worked out here because I haven't had the structure in place. I'm ready to go. And I still believe in Joe Douglas. This is going to be a long rebuild because this roster is absolutely barren. And I get it's going to be painful, and I know it's going to be hard for Jet fans. But it looks like they have a plan in place. Once again, I don't agree with Adam Gase still being the head coach. But it's clear that there's a blueprint, and it's more than I can say for the other Jets general managers. At least there's a blueprint going forward. But news is Le'Veon Bell is gone. The Jets are officially competing for the number one pick in the draft. And in my opinion, this move, if it hadn't already before this move has basically signaled that this organization has unfortunately given up on Sam Darnold and is looking to turn the page to the next chapter. Do you want the latest Jets content? Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the latest about the New York Jets here on this channel. And of course, we will have our weekly reactions after every single Jets game to give our thoughts and feedbacks. And of course, we are on Adam Gase watch. It's not if, but when he will be gone from the New York Jets. So stay tuned for all of that, only here on Rich Sports Talk.